It's another lovely day, and it's my way of welcoming you to the studios of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA, and the program is Weekend Deal. I am Elizabeth Abai. Each day I wake up, I give thanks because of the life I have, the breath I have. Now, life is one gift only God can give. We're continuing from where we stopped yesterday, and that's looking at COVID-19, the situation so far. And I tell you, do not think that it's not real. If you look at the records, a lot of lives have been lost, and those lives are lives of people, people's children, people's relations, people's friends. It's important we take care of it. Now, before I empty it all out, let's go join Francis for an overview. And I tell you something, it is a loaded day. Don't go away.
The COVID-19 has been less deadly in the African continent than many feared when the pandemic started. This trend extends to Nigeria, Africa's most populous country, where the number of infections and mortality has been lower than that of countries across the world with similar population densities. Some have attributed this to the swift response of the government, who instituted a lockdown as early as April 2020. This, however, did not come without its own challenges, but the Nigerian government took numerous health, social and economic measures to cushion the impact of COVID-19 and the lockdown. One of such measures was the conditional cash transfer, which on 1st April 2020, the government announced that it will make transfers of 20,000 naira to poor and vulnerable households registered in the National Social Register.
It is possible that many other persons expected to get this cash but have not been able to access it. But for the benefit of those who have, and majority for that matter, who have gotten, I think the whole initiative was a very successful one. However, there are some hiccups in that those who are saddled with the responsibility of ensuring that this thing is done with the clear intent of the president and to get to the people have been a sort of clog in the success to this policy. Some of them have devised a way of midwifing those who get, choosing and picking, and then favoring certain groups and ethnic group or states or even people against those who ordinarily are supposed to benefit from this.
The Central Bank of Nigeria also set out a number of measures to tackle the impact of the coronavirus, including establishing a fund to support the country's economy of 50 billion naira, targeted at households and micro and small enterprises. The interest rate has also been cut. A moratorium has been announced on principal repayments for Central Bank of Nigeria's intervention facilities.
The fact that the moratorium is reasonable, I've had people who got that loan. I've seen people who told me they got that loan, and the moratorium is upward of 6-12 months. And so for anyone who is serious with and who has a well thought out plan on what to do with the loan, that period is okay. And the interest rate is just 5%. I happen to have had something to do with NISA, the bank that is primarily responsible for giving out this loan. I've seen some of their documents, 5%. It's so friendly. It's so friendly. And the loan is collateral free.
The National Assembly was not left out, as the House of Representatives passed the Emergency Economic Stimulus Bill 2020, on 24th March to provide support to businesses and individual citizens of Nigeria. It was also meant to provide 50% tax rebate to businesses that are registered under the Companies and Allied Matters Act.
The whole essence of that economic stimulus bill is one, like the name connotes, stimulate the economy. So, make it a little robust by bringing in more money. Don't forget that this money were not available at the beginning of the year. COVID-19 became a serious challenge in Nigeria about March or February or so, when the first incident was recorded in 2020. At the time the budget for 2020 was submitted, don't forget that they did not capture the challenge that COVID-19 would come with in that budget. So the government, the National Assembly needed to accommodate that because it's a constitutional issue. So the whole essence of that bill was to enable the executive have the power to be able to implement that policy. So it is a good romance between these two arms of government.
As a way to further cushion the impact of COVID-19 on the citizens and reduce the unemployment rate, the federal government launched the Public Works Program to employ hundreds of thousands of unskilled workers who have not been able to earn a living as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. The program aims to employ 774,000 workers, that is, 1,000 from each of the country's 774 local government areas, in public works project for an initial 3 months.
I can speak as a fact that it has taken off in most local governments, and I can also speak as a fact that most Nigerians who I happen to have logged into their index have received a lot. I think what the government did was to second the responsibility to some banks. So all the banks were engaged, assigned to some local government or states, as the case may be, and so it was decentralized, which means no bank had autonomy or total control of how this money was disbursed. So each of the banks have states or local government assigned to them. And so for any bank, any local government that have not received a lot, it simply means it's a problem of the bank that's supposed to be in charge of the disbursement, not the federal government.
The fight against COVID-19 is not yet over, as Australia and Israel, for instance, have reimposed restrictions few days ago, as they have recorded an upsurge in the contagious Delta variant, which also threatened Africa with a brutal third wave.
The third wave is not likely to occur in Nigeria. The reason being that the Nigerians are very aware, Nigerians are also taking precaution, and thirdly, God factor in the whole of this thing in Nigeria is something a man cannot fathom. Nigerians should always have it in mind that there's COVID-19. Personal care needs to be taken, and I'm sure it is that personal care that have led to the low number of rate of infection.
Our focus on Weekend Deal today will be on COVID-19 in Nigeria, matters arising. Weekend Deal.
All right, when we have had the overview, it gives us, courage to really speak bold of what we have today. And speaking of which, we'll go straight on to Lagos, get to find out something they have designed. Is a question, but they will also give us the answer. Lagos says, job. Are there really jobs? And of course, you can create one. But let's get to find out details of all of that. Let's go.
The COVID-19 health crisis was an unprecedented shock that transformed lives and livelihoods of individuals around the globe. The severe health impact have been matched by sharp declines in economic activity and upheavals of labor markets. Also, all businesses, regardless of size, faced serious challenges with a real threat of significant decline in revenue and job losses. And these led to introduction of the new normal, working from home, as a measure to protect the lives of their employees and clients from the spread of the pandemic. At that point in time, some organizations reviewed their hours at work and cut down workers' salaries, adding the sacked staff to the pool of the unemployed. In addition, consumers in many economies are unable or reluctant to purchase goods and services.
Everything skyrocketed, the price of goods and the price of transport, and the restriction alone make everything that's got skyrocketed. If not for the grace of God, I don't think I would have. It was hectic on a serious note. Yeah.
It was a very tough moment for the government. It was a very tough moment for business owners. It was one of the toughest moments for people that were employed. So it was actually a very tough moment. We hope it will never repeat itself.
However, governments have come up with deeper institutional and policy reforms to strengthen demand-led recovery and build resilience systems that can act as automatic economic and social stabilizers. One of such policies was wealth creation.
We're coming with a lot of initiatives. Last year, and we recommended the GIPP, which is Graduate Internship Placement Program, not really to replicate Empower that has been done at the federal government level, but the need was to really address issues of unemployment in Lagos State. Mr. Governor approved the 40,000 to be given to the interns on a monthly basis as stipends, and they to expose them to the world of work, at the end of which, they should be authorities in whichever way they find themselves. We have 5 job centers that is cut across the Ibile divisions. You will see if you need a formal job, if you need an informal job, if it is going to be, artisanry, because we are right here, we have a department for entrepreneurs. We train a lot of people on entrepreneurship.
Also, the federal government has created the Extended Special Public Works Program, ESPW, of 774,000 jobs flagged off in January this year. It might interest you to know that the scheme is the largest job creation initiative in the country's history, and participants are expected to register with BVN to curb fraud and corruption.
All right, We Can Deal will always dig in and bring out a whole lot you never thought about. And when COVID-19 came in, a whole lot of things happened. People complained, businesses were, shut down in a lot of not very nice way, because we had to go on lockdown, pandemic and all of that. But with it also, some other things happened, job creations, loan and all that. We're going to be having all of that discussed with my guest this morning, who is Dr. Ghazali Mohammed. Dr. Ghazali Mohammed is the special advisor to the MD and NISA Microfinance Bank. Nice to have you in the studio.
Thank you so much.
All right. Now, I was actually talking with you just before the camera came to you, and I said your organization had been in existence, and a lot of people knew them, but not a lot of people. But with the COVID, you came to landlines, and I'm wondering, what were you able to do to get that?
Okay. First, the bank was actually established in 2019, February specific to be precise, to promote access to financial services, especially in the rural communities, where the financial institution cannot go because of one reason or the other. So the mandate of the bank is to provide wide financial services, wide range of financial services to the people at the grassroots. And so we have the intention to go to open outlet in all the 774 local government all over the country.
You have intention, that means they're not all there yet.
Yeah, we are not all there yet. We started with 53 branches. Presently we have 115 branches. We are growing organically, so in the near future we'll have branch in all the local government in Nigeria. What that means is people in different part of the country can now go into National Microfinance Bank outlet and get financial services from our offices. So a lot of people were not aware about the existence of National Microfinance Bank until when the issue of COVID pandemic came up. Why? Because a federal government through central bank came up with a program called Targeted Credit Facility, otherwise known as COVID-19 loan. That loan was supposed to be to cushion the effect of a COVID pandemic, which allow SME and household to stay alive despite the pandemic at that period. So people applied, and then they got their loan without knowing anybody. So that what created the awareness of the existence of the National Microfinance Bank.
I mean, I could just apply, or whether or not I know your office, whether or not I know anybody, then if I went to your sites, I could just apply and be sure that I'll be attended to.
Yes, provided you meet all the criteria. So
when you say criteria, what does that mean?
So what that means is if you apply, we have to check if you don't have any non-performing loan with other banks.
Okay.
One of the criteria. Then you have BVN. Your registration address is correct, and then you have a bank account. So these are the issues, the items that we look at.
So if I have a loan before, you won't give me?
No, if you have non-performing loan.
Okay. Yeah, which one is performing and non-performing?
Okay. For instance, now you took a loan from one of the bank A, okay, and if you are servicing, then your loan is performing. Okay. Maybe if you skip one of the repayment, it means your loan will go bad. So definitely won't extend loan to you, because we have what we call CRMS, that's credit, like a credit bureau, to check. You know, all the banks are linked together now in terms of credit appraisal. So we check those with non-performing loan and those that have performing loans. So if your loan is not performing, we won't be able to extend any loan facility to you until you clear the
whatever you have.
Wherever you have a loan non-performing.
You know, some people take from one bank and then
go to another bank and take. So the central bank has already identified that, so they have addressed that. So
all right, now your program is designed, you know, to help especially people in the grassroots. Would you, at the end of the day, beat your chest and say it's been a success story?
Yes, yes, it's really a success story, because if you look at the number of applicants, the influx of the applicants from the day we open our portal to the day we shut down our portal. In fact, at one time we had to shut down the portal because we have had more than enough applications in our portal to deal with. So we decided, because if we leave the portal open, we keep on receiving applications, which at the end of the day, you know, resources are limited. We'll not be able to attend everybody. You know, resources are scarce, so we decided to shut down the portal. Let's attend those that are in the portal and start disposing. We had more than 7 million applicants in the portal. You understand? Initially, the central bank provided 50 billion take-up to start with. Looking at the need and then the number of applicants from all over the country, the central bank decided to increase the amount to 400 billion. And as I'm talking, about 600,000 people benefited.
6,000?
600,000.
600,000 people.
People benefited so far.
Okay. Now, I'd like to know, how do you have a way of checking that the right people benefit from this? What I mean is somebody who doesn't have any ambition, you know, could just log in and get the money, and then maybe it goes to one beer parlor, or women, we can go and buy Bone Street or Bone Crooked. And do you have a way of checking that these things are put to use properly?
Yeah, it's in the portal. The portal is designed in such a way that it has areas that you intend to use the money to. So we look at the areas that you are into and then disperse the money to. And we will also have a monitoring mechanism.
Beautiful.
You know, the loan is supposed to be for 3 years with 1 year moratorium. What I mean by moratorium is like a grace period. If you take a loan, so you have a 1 year to allow your business to stabilize before you start repaying. So that will warrant you to do all that you need to do to make the business success. So after that 1 year moratorium, then you start paying for 3 years. So for your information, the loan is for the first year is 5%. 5%, which you can't get it anywhere in the industry because it's like a subsidized loan, and the central bank is just trying to assist people because of this COVID pandemic, just to make sure that the businesses and SMEs are alive, stay alive.
All right, so you said the first time is 5%.
5%.
The second time?
The subsequent years, it's going to be, that's the interest will be back. You know, almost all the intervention of central bank there at 9%. 9%. 9%.
So
but
the interest
for this one is 5% from the time we started up to next year, February 28th. That's when we'll now change it to 9%.
Okay, now let me get it right. If somebody gets the money, January 2021, and there's the free grace period.
Yeah, we call it
from
moratorium.
that. Yes, from that period to next year, that's 2022.
Yeah.
So after 2022 January, the person will pay 5%.
5%, yes.
Then when will the 9% be implemented?
The subsequent year.
Subsequent year, that's
Yeah.
2023
Yeah,
January.
so
all right. And if someone has been able to use this money and generate enough to pay back in bulk, is it also acceptable?
Yeah, before the due date.
Yeah.
It's acceptable.
Okay, beautiful. Now, someone wrote in here, it says your site has been shut down for a long time now. When do we hope it to open up?
Yeah, because like I said in my background discussion, we have had enough applications, and we are not looking at opening it now at the moment, but we're trying to deal with the applications that we have in our portal at the moment. We have over 6 to 7 million applications at the moment. So we're not looking at opening it at the moment now. We may not.
You may or you may not. That's not encouraging.
Because, but like I said, we have more than enough now. Okay. And the money, because of the limited resources, you cannot satisfy everybody in the country.
Yes, definitely.
So everybody wants to get, and no, because of the grace period, we are yet to start getting repayment until the moratorium expires. That's when we'll start getting repayment.
All right, it's a nice one, but I still want to find out a little bit more. If your monitoring system actually go to the field to find out if people are doing what they say they do.
No, okay, our monitoring system, yes, for now we haven't started, but we are working toward that. We have a committee now in the bank, and so since the beneficiaries are in different locations, so we have branches in all the locations, so we are sending the data or the beneficiary's address to those branches in those locations, so they will start monitoring the activities of those our beneficiaries. So,
all right, I'm going to ask you another question, but before I do that, I will, get you to feel a bit of what I want to ask, and that will come from Ibadan, where we look at loss of job and job creation. Don't go away. Still, we can deal.
The advent of coronavirus pandemic has affected almost every facet of human endeavor, be it social, economic, finance, health, and so on. No doubt, COVID-19 economic side effect has led to massive loss of jobs, and which has affected many homes as their breadwinner cannot cater for them anymore. The federal government of Nigeria, in a bid to cushion the negative effect of COVID-19 on the economy, has devised numerous ways, one of which is the provision of 774,000 jobs nationwide through the Ministry of Labour, according to Honorable Minister of Labour, Chris Ngige. The plan to provide 774,000 jobs is already being executed nationwide. Here is the opinion of Oyo State residents on the proposed job creation.
I would advise the federal government, if this is coming directly to the local government, they should give us the priority to sort out these people that are actually unemployed, for them to benefit from it. They should not make it partisan. Because for my local government, for instance, like we have in all other local governments around the whole country, there are a lot of unemployed youth. And apart from our youth that are educated, there are some that are not educated that are unemployed. And there are a lot of people that lost their job through coronavirus and through the downturn in the economy as well. We will try our best, as we normally do in our local governments, to create the awareness for our people and make sure they come in.
With the 774,000 jobs targeted at unskilled, semi-skilled and skilled people who must be Nigerian, and which is aimed at employing 1,000 people per local government in the nation. A local government boss and some residents expressed their opinion.
If the 1,000 job opportunities are given to all chairmen around the country, we know how to tailor it for our youth that is meant for, and the unemployed that is meant for will benefit from it. We know where the shoe pinches. We, the one that goes around, stays in our local government 24/7, we know where to direct this employment opportunity to. And I believe we are not partisan when it comes to local politics. We don't wait till job opportunity comes alone. We have skill acquisition centers that we do set up and empowering our youth. The 1,000 job, if it is truly coming to us, we know the best way to go about it.
Respondents opined that the move for mass employment across all the local government areas in the nation is a welcome development, but can only yield positive results if government is apolitical in the recruitment drive, and also re-emphasize the need to encourage youth into agriculture, as improvement in security and agricultural evolution is the best way of job creation and engagement of youth positively in the nation.
You can say that again, agriculture, you can't beat that. If you can't get a land, you can always plant somewhere around your house. Actually, one of the papers carried it as the best way of empowering yourself. And for me, I think it's beyond just empowering yourself. There's a whole lot to gain. So for those of us who are getting into this loan business, you can always go into agriculture if you can't learn any other thing. But back to you, I don't know, do you have provision for people who probably might be eligible for the loan and they really don't know what to do with it to avoid waste? Maybe you could do a bit of training. Are there provision for that?
Yeah, we have a different loan. That's one of the requirement is for you to get trained to be able to effectively manage your cash flow. We call it Agribusiness Investment Equity Scheme. That's AXMIS. AXMIS is a loan also from National Microfinance Bank. Is an initiative of Bankers Committee that put together their 5% profit after tax and for the purpose of disposing to extending the funds to SME and Agri. One can take up to 10 million without collateral.
Up to 10 million?
10 million without collateral.
After training?
Yes, after training. Before you take the loan, you have to undergo training, compulsory training from our recognized or licensed training institute, in addition to business plan. So that business plan will provide an idea about what you need to do, how you're going to do, how you're going to succeed. And also the training will also give you a financial knowledge on how to manage your business effectively.
That's a big one.
And so the training is supposed to be for 1 to 2 weeks. So that will mean a lot to a potential beneficiary.
And anybody can, actually go into that, including old people like us, right?
Yeah, including old people. You are not old.
Right. So I can't let you go until I've asked this question. It's been quite on my mind. Some people have been said to be duped by so-called agents of your organization, asking them to pay this and to get this. So what's your organization doing about it? Do you have agents that collect money and give money for you?
Thank you for this question, because we have had a lot of complaints from different beneficiary or applicants being duped by so-called agents. As a National Microfinance Bank, we don't have any agent. You don't have to pay anything to anybody or call agent. You get your loan without knowing anybody, so long as you have made all the requirements and criteria. You don't need to pay anything to anybody. That's why we are seriously working to address the issue of agent or facilitation thing. And we have a whistleblowing in our portal. So if anybody that approaches you for any facilitation fee, please report to the person, either staff or external, either internal or external. Report the person to our portal. Whistleblowing portal. So the managing director of National Microfinance Bank is serious about that. That's Mr. Abdullahi Abubakar Kure is serious about that, to address this issue of unethical misconduct. So I would like to use this opportunity to call all Nigerians. If anybody approaches you for any facilitation fee, please do not give him anything. In fact, report the person to nearest National Microfinance Bank or Central Bank branches where you are, or go to our portal and then report the person to our whistleblowing portal. Thank you.
It's good we're hearing this. So if you're duped, it's actually your business. We have just been told that they do not have such agencies to help you facilitate. It's something you can do on your own. If you want to lose your money, it's up to you. And somebody walks up to you, reports, you said. All right, we've been speaking with Dr. Ghazali Mohammed, Special Advisor to the MD, Nassau Microfinance Bank. Thank you so much for coming. All right, we'll be taking a little bit of what Orwe did for us. When we come back, we talk.
Since 30th March 2020, save for those that provide essential services, most businesses in the country, especially Lagos State, Ogun State, and the Federal Capital Territory, have been closed as a result of the lockdown, followed by the strict COVID-19 protocols imposed by the federal and state governments. As many businesses reopened across Nigeria, employers and employees of labor are adjusting to the new reality, which includes shorter work hours, pay cuts, and the most catastrophic, unemployment.
Where people gather, there are no more, people don't go there, people don't patronize them as before during this COVID-19. So anywhere the public gathering is, definitely people have lost jobs. And the people that they employ also lost their jobs.
In the private sector, they are laying off because the job that maybe 50 people can do, 10 or 30 people or 20 people can still do it.
In the hospitality industry, a lot of jobs have been lost here because it affects the hospitality industry mostly, this pandemic.
In the early months of the pandemic, measures like social distancing, work from home, travel restrictions, and other strict protocol significantly affected employment due to the adherence and compliance.
In most of the government agencies and public companies, they advise the junior staff to sit at home. And when there was no manpower, no production, most of them lost their job. Why some gained job opportunities, especially in the medical sector?
The unemployment rate in the country today due to the COVID-19 pandemic has risen to a shocking level, with a lot of households reporting a high rate of income loss, with many still moving in and out of work. However, there has been also some sectors of the economy celebrating creation of jobs irrespective of the pandemic.
Actually, employment are going on in some MDAs.
There are a lot of needs for security personnel. There are need for health also workers. If the government can come out and say, if you are a health worker or you are a trained security or you study criminology or whatever, come out and then apply and you see people will be employed back.
Government need to do something for the unemployed graduate in Nigeria, unemployed youth during this time. We have Bank of Agriculture. In industry, we have Bank of Industry. Now it is for the money to reach the real needed citizen. For instance, you take agriculture money and you give a doctor, a medical doctor. It's uncalled for. Government need to have an economic working team that will touch the grassroots.
The federal government has rolled out some programs to provide employment relief to its citizens under social protection programs such as public works employment, cash transfer grants, and payroll support for job opportunities in the micro, small, and medium enterprises.
Okay, Weekend Deal continues, and yesterday we started a discussion. We will be going back a little bit to that, and let's quickly join Charles Obike, because a lot of questions, controversies are getting, to the limelight on daily basis. Whether or not they're true, I don't know. But he looked at testing and costs as at Nigeria today. Let's see it.
As threat from variants looms in different regions of the world, the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic has remained an uncertain phase of lessons learned in many countries.
Also warned that we are not out of the woods, because if you look at what is happening across the world, if you look at what is happening even in Africa, South Africa, Namibia, Uganda, even Ghana, they are recording high numbers. So we still have to ensure that we continue with our containment efforts so that we don't have a third wave.
Are you aware the test is free?
I'm not really aware, because some people say they went to somewhere and they paid so amount of money to get the test done. So I don't know that it's free.
Actually, I did not go for the test because they say they are asking people to pay. And that is what discourages some of us. But what I want to say, government say it is free. Let government make it actually to be free for everybody to be able to do the test.
I haven't had any experience of anyone telling me to pay money for vaccine test, or for COVID-19 test, precisely. I have done. Yes, I've done the test, and it was at the early stage of the COVID-19. I had symptoms related to what we were told that people that had it. And I called them, I made a call, and within a couple of days they responded and I had the test, and it was free of charge. They came to my house and took my samples, and it was free of charge.
I don't believe such. That's always the sentiment. People always say, you have hatred in somebody, let's make that statement. Nigerians have various political problems. It's free.
I don't think it is true. I know it's official that anybody traveling outside this country, you pay for your test. And the test is 39,000 in FCT per test. That's the PCR testing. And you test in private laboratories that are designated specifically. If you come back, you test. Before you go, you test. Before you board an aircraft, you must test. When you come back, you must test within 7 days. So this is personal. You have to pay for it. Any other test is done free by government.
Government and related agencies are working hand in hand to ensure that health experts push ahead with free testing initiatives, though with challenges.
We have reduced the personnel to less than 10% because we don't want to keep personnel that will stay and do nothing, because we need them in other hospitals. So send them back to hospitals. But we have kept those 10 because for COVID, it's not when you have a patient that you start looking for the personnel. So we ensure that the personnel are there. We have few doctors, few nurses, and a lot of cleaners to maintain and clean the facilities. So that, God forbid, should we need to admit a large number of people at a go, we have the facilities to do that, we have the personnel to do that. All we need to do, as they're increasing, then we will need to bring more people from the hospitals.
From a standing start and fact, we need to demand for more testing centers, void of any cost-related challenge, in readiness for newer or arriving disease outbreaks or threats.
All right, recently we heard a whole lot happening in the news, and someone asked me a question. This Delta variant, is it from Delta State or something? And I was as lost as the person asking me the question, so I had to do my research. But the good news is someone will be explaining all of that and more for us this morning. And so we have joining us in the studio the Technical Head, Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19, the person of Dr. Mukhtar Mohammed. Nice to have you.
Thank you. Good to have me on the program.
All right. I want to start from the very first question. Please, Delta variant, is it from Delta State? It took off?
No. The Delta variant, the WHO did a reclassification of the variants of concern, which are the different types of the viruses that cause coronavirus disease. So they were reclassified. Initially, we used to attribute the viruses with the countries where they were first seen. So actually, Delta virus was the strain that was first discovered in India, but now in over 70 countries around the world. Initially, the biological classification was B1617, but now that is very complicated. And so they now simplified them, and they have now alpha, beta, gamma, and delta. So delta is
alpha,
the variant that initially started
beta,
it. Yes.
And
gamma and delta.
Gamma and delta.
Delta, yes.
Wow. All right, so that way people like us, the
yes,
layman,
so that
can
it's just an alphabetical classification.
What
yes.
differentiates probably delta from gamma?
So structurally, the viruses have different what we call phenotypic features, which means structurally there are some changes in certain proteins or certain sequences or certain spikes on the proteins. So it is slightly different from the other ones. And that is the main this thing. But in terms of disease also, we know that the initial virus that was seen, for example, the B1351, which was noted in the UK and later in Nigeria, which spread around the world, is not as virulent as the gamma variant or as the delta variant. So now we know that the delta variant among these subtypes is the one that is more virulent, is the one that is associated with high transmission between people, and is the one that causes the pandemic, to grow faster.
So in other words, when you try to kill it, it goes back, studies its dashboard again, regroups and come out stronger.
It is absolutely. So it is the normal way in which viruses survive. Viruses, as you know, they are non-living things, but they need human body or other bodies, for them to live on. So once they enter into a cell, they try to use the genetic, reproduction system of that organism and start to reproduce themselves. So along the way, because they are using a host system, themselves they also get changed because the DNA system, is not the same. So that is how the viruses actually survive, and that is why, they change with time. They undergo these mutations.
All right. When the gamma variants came out, a lot of things, were said. I don't know. It could be wrong. For us humans, that we should use a double mask. Do a lot of other things. With this one coming, and it has the speed of transmission, do we probably need to wear a triple mask? What is the implication for the ordinary man?
The gamma variant actually is one that was first identified in Brazil. It used to be called P1. It also has a longer name before, but now it's now designated as gamma variant. Fortunately for us, we have not seen that variant here in Nigeria, nor even in Africa yet. So wearing of masks, I think, is something that should be done. People need to assess their risk. You have the non-medical mask, which is just the clothing, which we encourage the general public to use. That will stop the transmission, of the droplets of infection, because this infection is spread through droplet this thing, so it can do that. You have the medical mask, which is used by medical care workers, in health facilities. That one has a better quality of stopping infection from spreading, and you also have a higher grade, the KN and the N95. Which are really used by the medical care workers who are working in intensive care unit, so that they don't transmit the infection and they also don't get it. So there are different grades of the mask, but for the general public, we recommend the use of double or triple layer cloth mask, okay, which does not allow materials to pass in easily.
It actually helps when we wear that, because it protects you from other things. Absolutely. I would want to know, now, as the technical head of this committee, just last week, new restrictions, it was brought up, especially flying regulations. What are you doing to, ensure that we follow it to the letter? I'm asking this question against the background that a lot of Nigerians coming, or even visitors coming, either by error or by choice, they give fake addresses, and they come in, the 7 days is not duly observed, and they get to interact with the public. What are you doing about it?
So it is true, last week the Presidential Steering Committee announced additional restrictions. Earlier on, you remember that we have identified 3 countries as restricted countries. These are Brazil, India, and Turkey. So last week, after re-evaluating the global situation and what is happening in various countries, we determined that South Africa needs to be added because the number of cases continue to rise in South Africa. The test positivity rate is becoming higher, and they're recording more hospitalization and even more deaths. And that's why we added South Africa, so that Nigerians are strongly advised that we don't go to these countries unless it's very essential, it's necessary for us to travel. And secondly, when people are coming back from these 4 countries now, they need to undergo a mandatory quarantine for 7 days in designated government facilities. So,
okay, so you will no longer be in their houses again?
No, for these 4 countries, no.
Okay.
For these 4 countries, you have to do it in designated government facilities, and you have to do it at the city of arrival. For example, if you arrive in Lagos, you arrive in Murtala Mohammed International Airport, you will have to do your 7-day quarantine in Lagos. Even if you are meant to travel to Bayelsa or to go to Benue State, you will not be allowed to do that.
Will I pay for that?
Yes, you will pay. You will pay for the quarantine, and you will also pay for the test. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Mukhtar, for coming on. And Dr. Mukhtar is the technical head, Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19. Thank you for the enlightenment. For now, we'll pay some bill. When we come back, we can deal. We'll just be tidying up. Don't go away. Weekend Deal is still on, and as usual, it's always good to go around and take trips and find out what is happening now. Before I take you to Sokoto, I'd like to ask, have you watched a video where someone took a vaccine and then put a bulb and the lights came up? What about the keys taken on your biceps? Well, that could be just a myth, and it could be also some of the stories and what do they call it again? Controversy theory, that's the word. Let's go to find out from Sokoto details of that.
With mixed feelings and reactions over the COVID-19 vaccine, Weekend Deal moved out to gather respondents' thoughts over various myths that surrounded those supposed to end the world pandemic, some of whom already were administered the COVID vaccine.
There's nothing like metal sticking to my hand. I've been seeing this clip all over, and thank God I've seen the second clip that is contradicting the first clip that is showing that metal, whether key or spoon, that is sticking to the hand, which the second clip is showing that some people, that they have a mischievous act. They do rub either cream or anything, glue to the metal object, and then they stick it to their left arm.
Actually, I received my 2 doses of COVID-19 vaccine, and coincidentally, both doses were received during fasting, and I didn't have any reaction.
In spite of thick resistance among some Nigerians to present themselves for the COVID vaccine, the government and the Nigerian Center for Disease Control continues to assure citizens that the COVID vaccine is safe and should be accepted by all.
The COVID-19 vaccination rollout in Sokoto State, we have received 68,000 doses from the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, and these 68,000 doses will cover about 34,000 individuals. That is having the first and the second shot.
Medical personnel, while encouraging people to present themselves for the COVID shots, he debunked the many myths that prevent people from taking the COVID-19 vaccine.
When this vaccine came to the country, NAFDAC took the samples, analyzed it, and said, yes, it's okay for use here. And that is why it is being used. What is the point? Now, some people said, when you took the vaccine, you put bulb and the bulb will light. People use mischievously to deceive people. It is said that when you take COVID vaccine, you put handset, the handset will glue. Buy iPhone 7, 400 and something thousand, and test it. That is my own advice. But if the screen break, please don't blame me. COVID vaccine given. Now we test. I'm using pressure so that it will stick.
Vaccination is the key and is the answer and is the fastest way of getting people to go back to normal. So I employ and I call on people, most especially people from Sokoto State, to accept the vaccine. The vaccine is safe and disregard all those rumors that are being peddled, which doesn't have any foundation of truth in them.
Okay, controversy. I love my people. You know, I love human beings generally because we always know how to cook up things and make them look good in our favor. Once we want to push one policy or one opinion, it's important, but then all of us must use our heads and act wisely. Now, one of the recipe for staying alive and staying healthy is feeding properly. The good thing about us here in this climate is that we have a rich variety of food. I'm talking about Nigeria, from the north to the east to the south to the west. All of us have beautiful dishes. For those of us who are watching weight, stick to Nigerian meals and you see yourself look radiant and healthy. What do I mean? Let's join Susan and get to find out about dawake, a special meal made out of beans. And of course, it originates from the northern part of Nigeria. It's called son of beans. Let's see it.
Culture is a conglomeration of diverse aspects of a people. Beyond the language, food clearly stands out amongst them. Wherever you're watching us from, this is Tasty Cuisine. I am your host, Susan Adamu. Welcome to our kitchen. Today we're going to be preparing dawake. Okay, the ingredients we're going to be using to prepare dawake are just a few number of ingredients, which has to do with flour, potash, kuka, yaji, which just consists of, then you need your vegetable oil, and this is the soaked water from the potash. So let's get to the video now. In preparing our dawake, the first thing to do is to put water on fire and at least like half of the pot, just to help the dawake batter to float up. So after putting the water, you leave it to boil for at least 2 minutes. So when we leave our water to boil, we start to mix our dawake batter. So after sieving the flour, then we sieve the kuka. It's a local food, so it's what you're actually going to use your hand to make. So you can actually go back and wash your hands again, or since you've already washed your hands, you can just go ahead. Now the water is boiled, it's time to start dropping the dawake batter into the hot water. Okay, you stir them gently, gradually. Once you start seeing them floating, it means they are almost done. Then you wait for like 2 more minutes before you start packing them. You don't cover this. It's not like the regular meal that you cover once something isn't. It looks like you're frying these balls, but in a hot water.
So from inside here, I'm going to transfer it into my cooler. Now, you must make sure there's water inside the cooler as well. Dawake is this kind of way where you transfer it from water into your plate. Then you eat it with your yaji and oil. If you leave it without putting it inside water, it's going to turn red. There has to be warm water in your cooler. So we'll transfer this into the warm water. And then you cover it. So once you're ready to serve it, you take it out of this with the same perforated spoon to make the water drain. You serve it into your plate. Then you add your yaji and vegetable add to eat it.
It's now time to do the tasting of our Dawake, as it is called in Hausa language. So watch me now. I do the eating, you do the watching along.
You get to practice yours as well.
Susan, next time there is something they say, come and eat, come chop. Every day you cook and you eat alone. It's not fair. Come and eat, come chop. In any way you like it, it's always there. God bless Nigeria and God bless you as well as you watch us. Don't forget that your life may just well be your own, but you owe it to everybody around you to ensure that you protect that life. Wear your face mask, wash your hands regularly against COVID, against other infectious diseases. Be careful as you move around the week and ensure that whatever is what. We may have a state called Delta State, but definitely the Delta variant is not coming to us. We will never allow it. Be good citizens. Once again, my name is Elizabeth Abain. It's been a wonderful time for this past 2 days with you on Weekend Deal. Join us again next weekend.